All right. In this video, I'm going to continue what I shared with you guys in the previous video. The previous video being the title. I'll give you the title 1 second. It was "You are a Toyota, but you want a Rolls Royce. Are you feeling okay, or have you gone mad?" It's video 7485. Okay. The reason I want to continue with this is because I got a few requests from members of my WhatsApp group who asked me, can you elaborate more on working for a multinational company versus working for a private or local company? Okay. And I guess because I've worked both for multinational companies and local companies, and now I'm a freelancer or online guy, people, would like to know the difference. Okay. So I'll give you my thoughts. I've just gathered a few pointers here. See if this helps you. And if I miss out on any points, please feel free to add them down below. Now, right off the bat, let me tell you this, that if you want your career to stand out, if you want recognition, if you want respect, if you want your resume to really have weightage, when you state you worked for a multinational company, let's say, say Google, Microsoft, Emirates Airlines, Ogilvy and Mather, okay? Or Nintendo or Sony, if you say that you worked for any of these companies, immediately your resume or your profile scales right up to the top. In fact, when I speak with a lot of HR people, when I speak with decision makers, the minute they get a resume that shows that the individual has worked for a multinational company, immediately that profile just rises to the top. Okay. So there's no getting around the fact that if you have multinational experience, you are the creme de la creme. Okay. But having said that, it doesn't mean that if, let's say, you are competing with somebody else and he worked for a multinational company means you're crap. Okay. It just goes to show you that if you worked for a multinational company, because of the vigorous screening and the challenges to get into the company, they know that you definitely stand out. And there are protocols, there are standards, there are procedures in place that make your experience and expertise worth considering. Okay. However, there are plenty of drawbacks of working for a multinational company. Plenty. Okay. And it is only someone who has worked there for many years, who has worked both for local companies and multinationals, they can tell you the difference. And me, I can give you my perspective because I guess I never fit into a multinational company. I never fit into that culture. Obviously, you can make out from my face. Okay. So I'll give you the plus and minus between both. Now, when you're working, let me give you my own personal example. I've taken down the notes here. So if you see me looking, know that I'm looking at my notes. I'll give you the best example. My last job that I worked for was for a business owner. Last 2-3 jobs, they were business owners. And I'll tell you how was my contract. Okay. These are owners of companies, business owners. They own the business. In all the companies that I did the interview, I did not have a resume. I went and spoke to them, took an appointment to meet them to speak about a job. So they never asked me for the resume. They wanted to speak to me. Yes, one of them did ask, but I told them I would rather have you, talk to me face to face. And he was like, if you have something, give me. If you don't have, fine, we'll talk. Okay. So number one is I never went with my resume to them. That is number one. Number two is I didn't have to follow the hierarchical pattern. Like when you apply for a multinational company, it is impossible for you to speak to the manager directly. If you're applying for a job, you have to apply through the system. Like Emirates Airlines, you have to apply through the system. And the the AI, the software of the company, it will track down or it will pre-qualify you based on certain metrics. Okay. So over here, directly I gave it to the owner. I didn't go through the secretary, I didn't go through the executives, the HR people, the managers, nothing. Straight away to the owner. The second is where in multinational companies you have to go through the first round of interviews, qualify, second, third, then you have tests that they make you write, psychometric tests or psychological evaluations or aptitude tests and all that. In these local companies, they don't care. They don't have all these tests. They'll just talk to you and ask you, what do you know? Do you know this? Do you know that? It's a very straightforward conversation. And then finally, the important part, the very important part comes when you have to negotiate your salary. With a multinational company, they have grades. Like I was saying, Emirates Airlines, they have different grades, different levels. Different organizations have these ratings, which bracket you fit in, and every bracket has its own salary, has its own pre-agreed upon, pre-set out conditions. This will be your base, this will be the salary you'll make, this will be perks for your family, traveling expenses, accommodation allowance, transportation allowance, everything will be set in stone. So if they are paying Mr. A, B, and C at a particular level, you will get the same as A, B, and C. It is very rare that A will get something different, B will get something different, D will get something different, unless, of course, it is based on commission or there are subcategories. The only exception to this rule is in the Middle East, you have different categories for Emiratis and different categories for Western expats and different categories for people from the East. Okay, this is very, it's very vulgarly exposed, I would say, in the Middle East countries. Okay, but they don't talk openly about it because obviously you cannot. They will always support their citizens. Okay, so over here, when you are speaking directly to the owner, the owner has a number in mind. Okay, this guy, I can pay him this salary. He'll have a budget in mind. But he'll also communicate with you and say, how much can you contribute to his business? So if he has a budget of, let's say, I'm giving an example, 10,000, say 10,000 dirhams, and you can bring in 100,000 dirhams worth of business. If you increase it to, let's say, instead of 100,000, you can increase it to 200,000, he wouldn't mind paying you more. So you can negotiate. In a multinational company, as far as I know, the contracts are set in stone. It's very rare that they'll make an exception. So there's very little room for you to negotiate. The only negotiation is done if there is a specified budget in the job position that you're applying. Others, they will go as per protocol. So in my case, I negotiated with my salary, with the owner. I negotiated for housing. I asked for a villa or apartment. I asked for flexible working hours. I could work whatever time I wanted, which would be mutually agreed upon. Those days, imagine, you're talking of nearly 14, 15 years ago, I negotiated working from home. Okay. I negotiated a joining bonus. I negotiated, obviously, my package. I negotiated the travel allowance, the car maintenance, even the vehicle I negotiated. One of them I had asked for even a Range Rover. I had even negotiated for having someone, cook and clean and, take care of my house. I had negotiated for creative control in terms of my work and even the department where I'd be working. And one of them, I even negotiated how my office would look like, the color of the painting, the structure, the machinery, the computer system. All this I'd negotiated. You can negotiate literally every single aspect of the contract, which you can't do in a multinational company. The only time you can do that is if you are a brand or you're someone so powerful that the company is ready to bend over backwards, which is very, very rare unless you are at a C-level position. Okay, something like, say, Steve Jobs, which is, very rare. Come on, none of us are. What are the drawbacks? The drawbacks of a multinational company, the first one is the rigid structure. There's nothing flexible. You can get terminated for unknown reasons, like the department can shut down, or they decided, okay, our budget, from the headquarters, they have decided no more. They don't have a budget for this department. Even if you're good, even if you are a value-added individual, they'll give you the pink slip just like that. This is what happened during COVID. They issued pink slips to employees without meeting them face-to-face, just through email or through SMS. Especially Emirates Airlines, they had laid off, I think, 60% of, especially the travel and this thing, through an SMS, or just come down to the office, take your, settlement, bye-bye. No explanation, nothing. And there is a lot of ass kissing that goes on in multinational companies. Everyone's fake as fake can be. Obviously, you have to maintain yourself, maintain your looks, maintain the car you drive, you'll be judged on. The clothes you wear, you'll be judged on. The political affiliations you have within the corporate organization. And there are dinosaurs who are there in those positions. You have to give them their due credit, or you're going to be in serious trouble. There is very little room for growth. Once you join a particular position, it's very rare that you get a promotion, okay? And then you have to play the political game in order to stay relevant in a multinational company. But on the plus side is fixed hours of work. You know what time you're supposed to check in, what time you're supposed to leave, and your job description is clearly specified, okay? However, when you're working for someone, especially the owner, the hours, he can tell you will work for 8 hours, but then maybe you're expected to work for 12 hours. Maybe he'll ask you to work 7 days a week. The ass kissing is limited to only the boss, who is the owner of the company. But then again, it depends on his mood swings. He can be professional, he can be unprofessional. If he's immature, that will just mess up everything. Emotional maturity. And I've seen this happen. They have mood swings. He can promise you the sun, moon, and stars. Will he deliver, or will he give it to you, is a big question. And always remember the biblical saying, the more powerful an individual is, the more powerful the king is, the more dangerous it gets for you. That is also very much there. He can be your best friend at one point of time, and he can be your biggest enemy at another point of time. Okay. Career growth in a company that is owned by an individual, I mean, if you're below the owner, there's only so much, he can give you a dummy position, but obviously you can't get a bigger position than that. Yeah, he can increase your pay scale, your package, so that depends on his whims and fancies. Okay. And I would say that, yes, where the perks and benefits of him taking care of you, your family, and other expenses are there, he can also promise you and not deliver. Okay. So overall, the question comes, so which is better, multinational or working for a, let's say, business owner? See, it depends on your trade-off. Okay, it depends on the trade-off that you are expected to make or give. I'll tell you honestly, I've met people who worked for multinational companies and then joined a startup company, joined an investor, joined a owner of a company, where initially things were very good, but then when profits get affected or when revenue gets affected, they change their tune, they change their promises, they can't honor their words. And that is where you will be left in a limbo. If you're the type who can follow protocol, who can follow rules, who doesn't mind putting his head down and working, then maybe you're built for a multinational company. And given a choice between working for a business owner or working for a multinational company, always youngsters or freshers, I would always say multinational company is where you should join, must join, because you will learn discipline, you will learn protocol, you learn the hierarchical system, you learn a lot of professional stuff that comes from working with a multinational company, and the wealth of experience that you get there is life changing. It is an education by itself. Working for a self-employed or a business owner after you get the multinational experience is much better. It's very rare that someone who works for an ordinary company would eventually be absorbed by a multinational. The only exception being is when you have more experience, then maybe you can apply for a multinational company, because then they will see value. Okay. But having said that, if you are an outlier like myself, outlier not in terms of in a very flattering way that, oh, we're very talented, very smart, but you're more of a rebel, like I've always been a rebel. If you're more of a rebel and you have your own qualms about doing things, I would still say work for a multinational company. It will teach you discipline. And then at some point when you feel, okay, fine, had enough, it's time for me to move. I worked for a year, 1 year with Citibank, one more year with, say, other companies. But eventually I realized I could not take that culture. And I moved on to working for small companies and, dealing directly with the owners. And eventually I realized that is, the direction for me. So it's not that it's bad, but remember, if someone says, I worked for, just say, Mark Robinson and Sons or Mohammed Ibrahim, a trading company, people will be like, huh, what? But on the other hand, if on your resume you have Google or Microsoft or Samsung or Apple, that always has, much higher returns or recognition. So these are both the differences. But if I were to summarize, I would definitely say start with a multinational company, gain experience, gain a level of expertise. And then after that, if you still feel, nah, multinational not for me, then branch out. Because once after you leave a multinational company and join local companies, going back into multinationals becomes a little bit hard. Okay. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Is it better to work for a multinational company or work for a private firm or a self-employed? So I hope this video helped you. And if you'd like to know what are the differences between being a freelancer or a businessman, I have made a video on that quite some time ago. But if you'd like me to give you an updated one, feel free, comment down below. Maybe I'll share with you a few tips and changes that I feel are applicable right now. Good, bad, ugly, feel free, comment down below. Agree, disagree. I'd love to know your thoughts. This is me signing off. You guys take care.